Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Let me in.
Hey, this is Toxic Reign Scandal featuring TBK the Turnbuckle King. Got another good one for you guys today. We'll talk about the most oversell match in history. What am I talking about? We are talking about Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan. SummerSlam 2005. We'll go behind the scenes on this match. Talk about why did a match that we thought would be a legend like Hulk Hogan versus the showstopper Shawn Michaels end in chaos. Why? It will be some interviews by Shawn Michaels, also by Bruce Pritchard, and also I will read the whole original plan of the SummerSlam 2005 match between two legendary seasoned performers, and why it ended up going in chaos, why something we thought would be billed as a big match ended up going down like an overselling match, which became something like this. But definitely, let's see who came into the locker room before we begin. CeeLo Meyer, salute. Thank you for coming out tonight. Appreciate your support. So like I said, we'll go over the basis of the whole match. Let's begin from the top. Now, this match was originally supposed to be a series of matches, and it was billed as a legend versus icon match. So we had, like I said, Hulk Hogan, who was, I think at the time in his early mid-50s, and Shawn Michaels, who was still in his prime. They were still could, had never had a match before SummerSlam. We know the second biggest event behind WrestleMania. And with that being said, they never had a one-on-one match. And Hulk Hogan was already way past his prime, still making off appearances here and there. So he came to do this match. And he was just inducted. Remember, around this time, Hulk Hogan was just inducted to the WWE Hall of Fame earlier that year, following the WrestleMania 21 weekend. So he was on Legend's contract, making appearances, but this was a part of his run. He ended up having a match with Shawn Michaels that he was supposed to have, but like I said, Shawn Michaels was still going, still doing his thing at that part of his career. Still putting on 5-star matches, and we would think with the chemistry between these two, they were a tag team at one point, tagging often, and we thought it would work. But I know that this feud here was originally in a series of 3 matches. Hogan would get a win over Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels would get a win over Hulk Hogan. And the last match will ultimately end in a steel cage match. But since none of that went down due to creative differences, if you know what I mean, it only became one match and only one match, which is the SummerSlam 2005. And they will never, ever, ever have a match again. Never. You'll never see this again. But I know they said it would be a pitch for 3 matches, both to trade wins over each other, and there'll be a steel cage match. But reportedly, it said that Hogan rejected the pitch for a series of matches because it's supposed to be a good guy versus good guy match, but it ended up becoming a heel, which is Shawn Michaels when he became heel, when he turned on Hogan. And it became Shawn Michaels, the heel character, the first time he went heel since he returned to WWE in 2002 full time. And Hulk Hogan would be the babyface. But not only that, Hulk Hogan wanted to win all the matches. of the series of matches they had. He wanted to win all the matches. And since that didn't go down like that, it was supposed to be Shawn Michaels at least getting a win. And I believe he's supposed to ultimately get the last third win. But you know, they say with Hulk Hogan, it doesn't work for me, brother. It didn't go down like that. And we know as fans, we didn't like that. And of course, fans felt some type of way, and they couldn't believe that he didn't want that.
Tell me you did not just say that.
Yep, Hulk Hogan did not want to do a 3 series match versus Shawn Michaels, and it only became 1 match. Hogan wanted to win all 3 matches, if anything, and Shawn Michaels get no kind of offense of winning any matches. So since that did not go down, Shawn Michaels did not like that reaction, and it led to the match at SummerSlam 2005. And as we already know, it led to Shawn Michaels overselling the match, going all over the place. So it led to stuff like this. Then it led to Shawn Michaels just way overselling the match. Like going to the turnbuckle, flying all over the place. It was funny too. I got a lot of stuff. It's hilarious. I still laugh at that to this day because I've never seen a match overselling like that in history. We've seen matches oversell. We've seen it on Raw. We've seen it in WWE throughout the years, or maybe even some matches outside of WWE, but not to this magnitude. And it was definitely funny. Definitely a funny match. And I know Hogan was pissed off. I know he did not like that. I know one point Hogan was like, "Come on, Shawn." Shawn said, "Shut up." So in fact, it was some real heat between HBK and Hulk Hogan himself. That's just crazy. But that's how Shawn Michaels reacted. He oversold the match. Now, in response to this, Hogan did say, despite hearing all of this, of how he did not want to put Shawn Michaels over, despite Hulk Hogan hearing that he didn't want to do business the right way by putting Shawn Michaels over and doing what's right at this point in his career. Hogan stated in an interview that it was all Vince McMahon's idea to win, for Hogan to win the match at SummerSlam, not his. It was Vince McMahon's idea. He said he went along with it. Now, think about that. I find that hard to believe, but that's Hulk Hogan's words. So Hulk Hogan having the political power that he has, he could have spun it in a way telling Vince, "Hey, I know you want me to go over, Vince, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. I know you want Vince. I know you want Shawn Michaels to lose this match, brother, but I want him to win, brother. So that's what I want. What you're going to do when the political power runs wild on you? What are you going to do when I spin things in my narrative?"
Spoken and spun like a true politician. I mean,
so there's some way Hulk Hogan could have used his backstage power to veto Vince McMahon's decision, let Hogan lose and put HBK over, and instead we wouldn't have to get this. Come on, Hulk Hogan, at your age in the mid-50s, you do not need to win this match versus Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels clearly could have went over, and you had series of matches. Let him win one. You could have won the next, but you didn't want to do business that way. You want to go business for yourself, just like Hulk Hogan ultimately always do. There's no stranger to that. He always does that. But he stayed with Vince McMahon's idea, and he's also said some of Shawn Michaels that Shawn Michaels overreacted, overselling. That's the thing that Shawn Michaels do, referring back to the old Shawn Michaels. And he said it ain't just me, he's done for many, many other people, just overselling the match on purpose for no apparent reason. But do we believe Hulk Hogan on this? That's the thing. Do you believe Hulk Hogan? Do you believe Hulk Hogan, brother? Do you think Hulk Hogan wants to do business the right way, brother? Did he really, really want to make Shawn Michaels look good, brother? And the answer is, in my opinion, you guys let me know in the live chat and the comment section. You think of that? My chance for that, you already know my chance for that is.
No chance in hell. No.
You know, Hulk Hogan definitely did not want to put Shawn Michaels over. He didn't want to do this the right way. We know he should have. But, you know, like I said, so much hype for this match. I mean, Shawn Michaels was funny, not only in the match, but he even dressed like Hulk Hogan, walked in a walker, mocked Hulk Hogan, went into a Larry King show parody, and made fun of Hogan. So it was funny, definitely funny, and it was so much build. I mean, remember, this was build legend versus icon match. So I just wish it would have been done better. Definitely if it was serious, the matches of 3. I mean, but you know, some things are not meant to be, and this is one of them. Not for a series of matches. With Shawn Michaels, we know Hulk Hogan's an entertainer. Shawn Michaels would have made Hogan look good in those series of matches, but that's not the way Hulk Hogan wants to do business at all, for that matter. So with that being said, it definitely rubbed Shawn Michaels the wrong way. And that's just the first crazy thing we heard about Shawn Michaels since he came back to WWE, being in his second run in WWE, and also being a reformed, born-again Christian. You didn't hear any backstage politics, anything crazy about Shawn Michaels in his second run until somewhat of this happening, how he oversold this match at SummerSlam 2005. So this was a very memorable match. Very, very memorable SummerSlam. Remember, it's the same SummerSlam we had the Edge versus Matt Hardy over the whole Lita love triangle thing in a ladder match. Same event. But definitely, we're gonna see where this goes as far as what did Shawn Michaels think of this whole thing. We're gonna get to the interview shortly of Shawn Michaels on Inside the Ropes, talking about this whole match of Hogan, SummerSlam 05, and what do you think about the whole thing? But we know that Shawn Michaels is the executive now. This interview was dated back, maybe 12, 13 years ago. You can tell because Shawn Michaels still has the long ponytail. He's completely bald now. So we know it's definitely a while back. And he looks a little bit younger compared to today, in 2024. So there will be an interview coming up. And then I will react to the interview. And also Bruce Pritchard, we all know him, executive currently in the WWE. He talks about the whole Shawn Michaels Hulk Hogan match at SummerSlam 05 as well, and his thoughts on it. So with that being said, let's get into it in a second. Hit the like, subscribe, keep the notification bell on when you come into the locker room when I break down stuff like this and many other topics as far as locker room goes. So with that being said, let's break it down. Let's get into it. Enough for me. We'll talk about HBK, Shawn Michaels himself, going inside the ropes and talk about this particular match. Like I said, dated a while back, it's a little old, but it's still on here, and he talks about the match years later.
Kind of being a change guy because you had different priorities in your life and different things. And I'm not saying that's not true. It very much seems like it's true. But there was one time where the old Shawn Michaels seemed to come out a little bit, and that was in the program with Hulk Hogan. You guys are a tag team for a couple of months, posing all over the shop, beating tag teams, and then you turn on him, and then it felt like for a little while we got some of that 1997, 1998 Shawn Michaels, which people were clamoring for. The Larry King sketch, we had the walker. And it's the one thing that I've ever seen when you talk about it. Not that you get angry about it, there's a frustration there about that program, as how it turned out. Not that you're angry, but there's a frustration there. Why did that not turn out the way that you wanted it to, or the way you thought it should? And why is that the one time that you did decide to give a little bit of the old Shawn Michaels?
Well, because that's specifically what they asked for was 97 Shawn. And so, and the thing is, and so the only part that was ever frustrating was, me having to do a lot of it on my own and sort of it constantly changing, week to week, and of what we, originally had thought it would be. But then other than that, I mean, that's what everybody wanted. And look, I will say this, and it doesn't matter what I say, but you have to understand the wrestling business is always going to that's what we do, make things 10 times bigger. And the great thing about it is when we make it 10 times bigger, you guys make it 20 to 30 times bigger in your own minds.
Spoken and spun like a true politician. I mean,
I knew he was going to answer somewhat like that, but that's Shawn Michaels for you, political answer. With that being said, let's continue on. See what else Shawn Michaels going to say about this match.
Your old world. And so the thing is, I'm no dummy. I know the past that I created. All I have to do is give you a hint of that, and you think I'm back. You think I'm rough. He's doing it again. And I don't mean it to be mean or cruel. It's just, the human wrestling fan is an easy thing to manipulate. God bless you. You know what I mean? But it's not like, well, I'm just saying, it's not like I could have done that whole Larry King live thing and like nobody in the WWE have okayed that. You know what I mean? Or even the promo that I did after it. You know what I mean? It's not like, because this is no longer 97. This is no longer, again, a world where it was just owned by one guy and we only had to run it by him. No, it is publicly traded. Now now things do have to get approved. So that's one of those things. That's a world.
That's cap! Totally cap!
Again, that all I know is that I learned that that's a world that almost takes care of itself. And I don't mean it to be disrespectful, but that's the easiest world to work because you guys are constantly caught up in what you believe to be the real behind the scenes, and all you have to do is mess with the real behind the scenes a little bit, feed that to you guys, and you're off and running with it. Piece of cake. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just saying, we as the Click, we did that all the time. That was one of the things we figured out early on, is that, holy cow, and the locker room, half of them buy half of that stuff. So look, for what it's worth, the only people who are easier to work than you guys are the guys we're in the dressing room with.
It's funny you say that because we did a show in Glasgow with Scott Hall, and we were talking to him about when they came back in 2002, the NWO thing, and I'd asked him, I said, was it difficult to go in that environment where people are kind of like, he was WCW, whatever, and he talked about an interaction where the Dudley boys came up to him and said, hey, how's it going? And he was like, yeah, cool, your finish is the 3D? And they were like, yeah, and he was like, can't wait to kick out of it. And they got really annoyed, and he was like, don't worry, I'm only serious. And I guess that's kind of to your point, but you've talked before about in the Hogan thing that it was originally going to be a few matches, maybe he would win one, you would win one, you'd have a rubber match. So looking back now on it with what it was, are you glad you did it? Is it something that you enjoyed doing when you look back?
Yeah, well, look, I'll put it, it was one of those things that, for me, I don't care who you are, if you're in this line of work and even remotely in the same era as him, you want to say you were out there with the biggest. Say what you want, but he's the biggest name that this business, you know what I mean, will probably ever see or ever know. And so, look, it's one of those things that you just sort of go, again, same thing with Rick. It's one of those things that you, as a guy, well, I'm just saying, it's one of those things that, look, if you've got this, your own little checklist in your mind, to be able to say that. Because again, I was a fan once too, and all of a sudden, then one day you're in the locker room with these guys, and it's like, oh my goodness, and then you get time goes on, then you're their peers and your friends or whatever, and then all of a sudden your business, whatever case may be, but there's still a part of you is like, I would love to, that's one of the things I'd never done is been out there with Hulk Hogan, and he was back, and it seemed like, look, this is an opportunity for this to be able to happen. Anybody think anything's there? we got anything. And so, yeah, and everybody seemed to, think it was something that was viable. So I was definitely into it. Look, I will say that again, it was originally wanted to be, this good guy versus good guy, and it was one of those things where HBK just needed to know, and those things got changed, and again, look, I also, I knew that it's hard to say, okay, so now I got to be a heel, and one of the things also, like if you're Shawn Michaels, it's like, and again, the Jesus thing. It's like even going to church, like I somehow can't be a bad guy on TV. So if you got a hard time with the church people, so do I. Because it's like, so I can't pretend to be something on TV and still go to church on Sunday because that somehow makes me, I'm acting. You know what I mean? And so look, I got no idea what's going to happen when that Marine 6 movie comes out because I say bad words in it. You know what I mean? Am I going to get in trouble at church when I do that? I don't understand that. I'm playing a part. You know what I mean? And so, and again, for what it's worth, I mean, like, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, if it's who he says he is, he already knows what's already in there. You know what I mean? So, and it's either okay or it isn't. And so, but so it was that kind of stuff that even as a wrestling fan, I can't be a bad guy anymore without everybody thinking there's a part of me that's really bad. And then sometimes you go like, oh, how many times do we have to go through this? So that's, to your point, that's the only part that gets a little, I guess, like frustrating about it is where pro wrestling is only pro wrestling when you want it to be. And that's the thing that's always been, that's what frustrated the Click all those times, way back when, is that so it's all built on BS, but if we throw the BS out now, you don't like it. You know what I mean? It's, so it was only that kind of stuff that made it even remotely tough. But I was very, again, thrilled to do it. And even like the match itself, even that's gotten blown out of proportion. All that really did was reveal to me that I made the right choice in not trying to be a heel again, because, that is the way I sold when I was a heel. And now you fast forward to 2005 and that's known as overselling. I wouldn't be good at it. I mean, that's the thing, because there was only, as I told people, there was only one thing I was trying to do, in that match, and it was a joke. It was a private joke between Kevin Nash and I. Everything else has turned out to have a life of its own, which just honestly, just shows that I'm no longer a good heel anymore, because that's how I used to bump for everybody in '95 and nobody minded it. You know what I mean? Well, I'm just saying, it's one of those things. I mean, Ziggler does it now and nobody calls it overselling. Well, I'm just saying, I guess that's one of the things that, and that happens 100%, and I don't mean it to be, critical, and it's okay, but that happens 100% because I'm Shawn Michaels. You know what I mean? No, I mean that in the bad sense. I get that kind of criticism, again, because I get, I'm going to get some of that, like, oh, no, he was really angry. That, look, there's nothing I can do about that. That's part of having to, having the past that I have. You have to deal with stuff like that. I can think of a lot worse things to do. You know what I mean? If that's all I have to deal with is, having to explain, like, no, honestly, I wasn't trying to bury the guy, really, really badly. I was actually, the thing is, I will say, I was trying to make the stuff that I didn't think was looking very good, try to look good. And so clearly I went overboard trying to do that. You know what I mean? But it's just, when you see it done to somebody else, it doesn't look very good. So you feel like I need to make it bigger. And clearly I didn't do a good job with that, but I honestly think, I've never gone out there, like I said, except the one time. One time I was told to have something bad happen in a match. It happened. But I was told to do that. I've never once gone out there and tried to, stink the joint out. You know what I mean? I'm known for a lot of stuff, but trying to stink the joint out is not one of them.
Okay, that's Shawn Michaels. He went on Inside the Ropes. He talked about the situation of the shoot of the real match between himself and Hulk Hogan. He went down, explained the original plan and everything. How it was supposed to be a legend versus icon, but did not come down to that. See who else came in. King Groove TV, salute to you. Welcome to the locker room, my man. Appreciate you coming out. And we got someone else who came to the locker room for the first time. Isaac Fernandez, if I said that correctly. Excuse me if I didn't. Welcome to the locker room. You're from Fresno. That's what's up. Welcome to the locker room, man. Anyway, Shawn Michaels, he says that despite all the issues, he didn't want to start off with Hulk Hogan. He said that, you know, that name, biggest Hulk Hogan, he was honored to work with him. So he was honored to work with Hulk Hogan. You know, Hulk Hogan's a big name. And he said, regardless of that, you know, he didn't want to become the old 97 Shawn Michaels with the overselling. He even threw it in there that, hey, I do it, but Dolph Ziggler does it now. You don't say nothing to him. Try to take the heat off himself. But he said he just wanted to do a good match. You know, his series did not happen. He said that he didn't really, you know, go to the edge on Hogan, but he did state that Hogan did not agree with the plans, and it became one match and only one match at SummerSlam 2005. But, you know, Shawn Michaels said and pretty much sum it up, he wanted to do business the right way. He wanted to put on a good feud. He said something about manipulating the fans and taking everything advantage. He said, you guys make it, we make it 10 times better as wrestlers, you make it 20 times more. Yeah, but he means that by the crowd reaction. And he made, for example, be a crowd reaction to, for example, something like this. So that, I think Shawn Michaels, he's very good at feeding off the crowd, how the crowd feel, and he just runs with it. And he did the same thing in this feud, in this match against Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam 2005. It was not no different from that. So, you know, Shawn Michaels kept saying, you know what I mean, 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 giving political answers, knowing that he did not like how Hulk Hogan did business. You know how Hulk Hogan said it doesn't work for me, brother. So we got a little political answers, and we got it spun like a true politician.
Spoken and spun like a true politician. I mean,
so that's what we got in that answer. But other than that, Shawn Michaels, it was funny how he did the oversell. I mean, let's look how he went over this turnbuckle. It was too funny. Let's look at that. The guy, he flies off the turnbuckle. Oh man, that I just crack up every time I see that. But that's Shawn Michaels for you. That was his reaction, like I said earlier, to Hulk Hogan not wanting to put him over as he should have, especially at this point in his career. Now, there's another interview coming out. You guys let me know what you think of that interview of Shawn Michaels being on Inside the Ropes. So you guys let me know. Other than that, I'm going to pull up another interview. It's not Hulk Hogan, unfortunately. I read an article what he said, as I said earlier, but there is an interview by Bruce Pritchard, who's currently in WWE. He talks about the one-on-one match between Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam, the biggest party of the summer. So we know he goes in, he talks about it, and he's going to go in, and he's going to talk about the overselling part that Shawn Michaels did, which is hilarious, but same time it's wild. So let's see what Mr. Bruce Pritchard got to say. You guys hit that like, subscribe, keep the notification bell on, especially as we got 16 people in here. Let's get the lights up, people. Come on. This is good content breakdown of this particular match and the overselling and the animosity. So let's see what Bruce Pritchard, the man himself, had to say regarding this whole match and feud.
Let's talk about that. I've got some quotes here. I know we're short on time, so I'm going to try to run through this. By the way, I want to give a shout out. We had hundreds of questions. There's no way we'll get to do it today. We're going to try to do some on ad-free shows later. But I'm already keeping Bruce way later. He's missing a meeting to do this, so we got to hustle. But Michaels addressed this whole fiasco during a Q&A in England a few years ago. He says, quote, "We were going to do a best of 3, and in the last minute, he backed out. So that day, I'll admit this, I poked the bear all day. I already knew what I was going to do. I was going to go out there and do business, but I was going to make him earn it and just be a pain in his butt all day. And that was something I did for my own enjoyment. It wasn't right. It wasn't professional." The next year, Hogan had this to say about the match. "If you really go behind the scenes on the Shawn Michaels thing, I just sat back. I mean, this is Vince's show, Vince's thing. When we went to the dressing room, Vince came in and said, okay, I want Hogan to go over. No big deal. Those were Vince's wishes. If he had told me to take the super kick and do the 1, 2, 3, even though nobody says I've ever done a job. If you go back and look at my career, I've pretty much lost more matches than I've won trying to get guys over, from Triple H to The Undertaker to The Rock, you name it. I don't win too many matches, but it's business. I'm trying to help these guys. So when Vince wanted Shawn to do the job,
That's cap. Totally cap.
we went out there and had a match, and everybody said, oh, Shawn oversold. He was making fun of you. If Shawn was really doing that, you have to ask him, because I'd have to go take the turnbuckle. He jumps on the bottom rope and does a triple flip, which, okay, whatever. But he's done it several times, not just with me. And the reason that we didn't go longer was because I shut it down. The next day, I was expecting to, return the favor. And then, okay, now you beat me up and I beat you. Let's build to a third match and keep the cage match and keep it going. But he was such a great worker. I thought we were going to have a great run. Could be my fault. It could be my feelings were too much involved. But I thought the interview was going to be, I got to give a Hogan. He was better than me on that one night, but it'll never happen again. I was quicker and faster than him, but he just had that moment. He had the crowd with him. He had the momentum, but it'll never happen again. I'm asking you, Hogan, for another match. And I thought that's how we were going to do the business in this interview. But when he came out and said, oh, he was too fast, he was too young, I went, I'm out. I just told Vince, your boy, it's not business. So I pulled the plug on that deal, and that's where we ended up. It wasn't a creative control thing. I said, I don't want to go on if this is going to be a clown show from this point on. I thought if this guy really wanted to dig in and draw some money. And on the Shawn Michaels DVD, he says, in my mind, I present it to him as just good guy versus good guy. And the thing where HBK was just like, man, I got to know if I can beat the Immortal Hulk Hogan. And then the next week, we find out it's classic babyface, heel versus Hogan, quote, like you're in 1998. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. I'd tear him up. I'd go out there on that mic and I would tear him to shreds. Give us that then. That's what we want. So I just thought, you got to be kidding me. Are you sure he's okay with that? And Vince told me Terry's business. And I asked him beforehand, are you sure he's okay with it? And Vince reiterated Terry's business. So when I see Hogan the next week, I asked him, are you okay with all this? And he says, no problem, brother. And I got news for you. If he denies it, I'll tell it to his face. I asked you before. I asked you every time. And, work with me, brother. And I'm like, wow, some of the most successful people in this business are insecure. So there's two sides here. And I guess that's the old famous thing we break down on this podcast. The he said, she said, the my side, your side, and the truth somewhere in the middle, or whatever. Where do you land on this? Do you remember Hogan being the one that pulled the plug after the Shawn promo the night after on Raw? Or is it more of what Shawn is saying here, that Hogan's just insecure?
They're both right. They're both right. As far as Hulk pulling the plug, Vince pulled the plug. And Vince was unsure even before the match if he wanted any more matches. It was Vince's call. And Shawn did run everything by Hulk. And Shawn was very concerned about the shoot stuff with Hulk and did ask every fucking time he did it. Make sure that it's okay. Are we good? And goddamn, you really want me to go that far? And the answer always was, yes, yes. And everybody did agree to it. And then I just think that it got into feelings were hurt. And he said, she said, and it turned into what it turned into. But yeah, they're both right. And it's a combination of all of the above. But they basically worked themselves into a shoot. I would have loved to have gotten 3 out of it. And I don't know what I would have done in the third match. I probably would have somehow thrown it out or ended up with them as a team. Who the hell knows? But regardless of that, the lead up to everything and where we got to, it just, could have been different. Could have been different.
Man, I got to tell you, I was disappointed in the match only because I felt like the bar had been set so high by Hogan Rock at WrestleMania 18. And no disrespect to The Rock, we know one of the greatest sports entertainers of all time. But when it came time for the bell to ring, as you like to say, I don't know that there were many ever better than Shawn Michaels. So when I see that and I see what Rock and Hogan were able to accomplish, it just feels so much bigger and better than what Shawn and Hogan did. And Shawn and Hogan certainly was a memorable match, and I'm not arguing that, but it doesn't feel like it had near the magic.
And that is undisputed.
And I can't help but wonder how much of that is just ego,
I think a lot of it is on everybody's part. So it just it boils down to you dealing with human beings and feelings get hurt. That's hard to stop sometimes. It's hard to turn it on and off.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe.
So that was Bruce Pritchard's reaction to the interviews that both Shawn Michaels did on Inside the Ropes, as I played earlier, and also Hulk Hogan, his interview stated about Shawn Michaels. So according to Bruce Pritchard, according to him, he's saying that they both were right in the sense where Shawn Michaels wanted to do 3 matches. He wanted to do business, but Hulk Hogan didn't. And Shawn Michaels reacted a certain way. And he had an ego by doing the overselling as he was mad. And everything was ran by Vince. That's what Hogan said. Bruce confirmed it, but we know Bruce is a Vince McMahon guy. So he's going to side with Vince. Also, that it is a little bit of ego versus ego. Shawn Michaels' ego versus Hulk Hogan ego. Legend versus icon as far as ego goes, definitely. And even Conrad had a point that if you given the star power of Hulk Hogan, if you given the talent and the skill of Shawn Michaels, combine that together, you would expect a legendary magical match. But instead, we did not receive that, and he was compared it to Hogan versus Rock, WrestleMania 18 in Toronto back in 2002. We did not get that here, and it should have been bigger. It should have been on a higher level, but unfortunately it wasn't. And I know, like I said, Shawn Michaels was upset with Hulk Hogan as well, and he wanted to get some wins over. So it was definitely an ego thing. Like I said earlier, that Hogan really needs to win these matches, and the answer was no. It definitely should have been Shawn Michaels being over and getting the win on Hulk Hogan, and it would have been a very, very good story. And then after that, after the 3 matches were done, especially with the last one ending in a steel cage, that's it. Could have been in the rivalry, and we could have finished the story right there. But we did not get it like that way. We had the one and done, pretty much doing 1 year in college and going straight to the pros. That's how we got it. There's no build a match. There's no series, no anything. And we got a heel Shawn Michaels versus Hogan. But it was a funny feud. May not be memorable for the great moments, but it was, I would say, the most funniest match, the most oversell match between two popular names in the names of Hulk Hogan, Shawn Michaels. And in the real life reactions, Hulk Hogan being so pissed off at Shawn Michaels, and Hulk and Shawn Michaels just clearly not caring and being so careless during this match as far as what others gonna think. So, like I said, Shawn Michaels really thought it was open mic night, when he was cutting his promos and definitely just doing what he wanted to do.
Who the hell told you tonight was open mic night, bitch?
The way Shawn was cutting promos, going in on the whole Larry King, everything. So it was definitely memorable. But yeah, these guys had a match. And like I said, also, I do believe Vince did want to put Hogan over. But I think Hogan, like I said earlier, could have vetoed it and used some of his political power to go against it and put Michaels over. So, of course, Hogan's not going to argue it, especially when it benefits him the most. So that's how we saw it. But Shawn did want to do business. But Hulk, like they say, Hulk is who he is because of the way he does business. So Michaels had to know that too. That's how it is with him. And that Q&A, I think, Inside Ropes was in UK, as they stated. They referred to the same interview I played, the very first one before the one with Bruce Pritchard. But they said at the last minute, as you hear, Hulk Hogan backed out. Last minute, he backed out of the match. That's why Shawn was so mad. This was already set in stone, and Hulk Hogan backed out. So that's what I think would really tick Shawn off. That's what made Shawn react the way he did. So he saw that, man, Hogan's down with it. He's going to do business. Then he just out of back up right before we had this match at SummerSlam. So that is kind of bogus on Hogan's part. That is foul. Let's be honest here. That was nonsense. Definitely could have been done a better way. No doubt about it. But, that's just how things are with some of these guys. They're going to do they're going to back out of it, do what they want to do, go business for themselves, benefit the way they want to benefit. But Shawn Michaels overselling was way over the top, and that's where it becomes an ego versus ego thing. Do I blame Shawn Michaels all the way? No. He has a point. Hogan should have put Michaels over, especially now that we know Hogan backed out last minute. So I kind of feeling where Shawn Michaels is coming from. But he could have been a little more professional about it. And that's what Shawn Michaels stated in the interview I played earlier. He said he wished he was more professional about it, of how he handled things years earlier, back in 2005. So definitely, it was definitely a memorable thing. This is a match that will go down as far as a shoot match, as they call it. They call it a shoot match. But it also, like I said, it was summed up also on the DVD of Shawn Michaels. So he talked more about it as well. And I think that was a documentary, if I'm not mistaken. Shawn Michaels had done documentaries and put it on WWE. Of course, DVD, and now streaming on Peacock. I'm pretty sure it's on Peacock somewhere. But this was crazy how this match went down. SummerSlam 2005, Botch Fest Mania. Should be called now SummerSlam Botch Slam. I'm sorry, not Botch Slam, Overselling Slam. What am I saying? Not a botch, Overselling Slam. I had it wrong. Overselling Slam, that's what it should be called. And ego versus ego should be Bill Steph Icon versus Legend. Because this is a match that we got. Definitely. Let's see what you guys have to say. King Groove said to me, because of Shawn Michaels' athleticism, he was a better superstar than Hulk Hogan. And I got to give it to you. You got a point there. Definitely got a point there.
And that is undisputed.
Yeah, you got a point, King Groove. Shawn Michaels always had the athleticism over Hulk Hogan, who was just an entertainer and had ultimately got more star power compared to Shawn Michaels. Brutally Honest Gilbert, salute to you. Appreciate you coming out to the locker room. But yeah, this was very, 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 very crazy of how this whole match could have been legendary, and it comes down to this. That's what it comes down to, and it's a wild thing. But this match will never ever be remembered for having the magic as it should, not having the chemistry as it should. It comes down to the best overselling job. Point blank, period. That's what it came down to. But I do have one more part, and I know he's not our favorite in the wrestling industry and the IWC, as they call it, Internet Wrestling Community, but Bruce Pritchard's not either, and I still played him. It's not Eric Bischoff, by the way, but we're gonna play another interview here, and it's going to be another legendary person we know in the wrestling industry. And it's going to be Mr. Jim Cornette, as called Corny for short. So let's see what he had to say regarding this whole shoot of Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan, the match that could have been legendary, but it wasn't. Let's see what he had to say on this podcast, Cornette's Drive Through. Let's see what he had to say regarding this whole thing. Patty said, Shawn, welcome to the locker room, by the way. Shawn Michaels went to business for himself. I don't blame him, though. He had to, because Hogan did. That's why I say ego versus ego. But let's see what Jim Cornette had to say regarding this whole thing. He talked about this shoot match as well. Well, it became a shoot match at SummerSlam 05. Hogan and HBK.
Oh, and now you're putting me over and telling everybody about it. Well, thank you, Shawn Michaels.
I'm putting you over and telling everyone how miserable you are. Yes.
Putting me over and telling everybody you're putting me over is what you're doing.
Well, come on. That's not Shawn Michaels. He never put anyone over.
Oh well, Hogan that time. Remember when he flopped for him like a dead fish?
Did you ever watch that match?
I actually saw some of that match. That was pretty. He was a great performer. Because let's put it this way. That was probably the line of where there's some people that still didn't fucking get it and thought it was a great match, but obviously people who knew what the fuck was happening, for those people who like that kind of thing, it's the kind of thing those people liked. It was so over the top. It was just, but it was amazing he could pull it off.
It was one of the few times I watched a match and felt sympathetic for Hogan, because you see him just looking at Michaels like, what the hell is he doing?
And and he had the anti-gravity boots on, and fucking, Hogan's right hand was a 50 megaton bomb, and it was actually I guess that was probably the inspiration for these, little outlaw kids playing wrestler on the indies, having invisible hand grenades and stuff and things, carrying on and such.
And what was the story? They were going to do a program over a few pay-per-views, and I guess Shawn Michaels said, like, okay, how about I win the first one, and then you win the second one, and then, you win in the end. And Hogan probably realizing both, A, Shawn Michaels will not return the favor, and B, this guy's half my size. Why would I do this? Hogan's like, no, here's my idea. I beat you the first time, and I'll beat you the second time, and then the third time I beat you again.
Well, but hold on here now. Pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. Slow down, cowboy. I am going to do something I've never done before publicly, at least to my knowledge. I'm going to take the side of Shawn Michaels, because why was he supposed to think that he was going to get fucking a job out of Hogan? When you think about it.
Yeah, no, Hogan walked out instead of doing the job to Brett, and of course Shawn refused to do a job to everybody. He's the only guy who ever dropped belts over and over again without losing a match.
But here's the thing. Regardless of what kind of 2 out of 3 program they were going to do or blah, 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 or it's shame all the...
Before we go further, that's not true. Shawn Michaels only dropped the belt as world champion once. He was a 4-time world champion. He lost the title, I believe, to Psycho Sid one of those times, and the other time to Triple H, and 3 of the times he and Stone Cold the other time. He only dropped the belt once as world champion, so with that comment, you're wrong. But I know that's off subject. Let's continue on.
But the history we could have made, brother. If you go to the ring to do a match, whether you like the finish or not, if you jack the match completely off, or jack the company completely off, or jack the guy completely off, or whatever, because you don't like the finish, but you went to the ring to have the match, that's you're basically that's a piece of shit. I can understand not liking the finish. He should have left on it if he didn't like it that bad. But once you go to have the fucking match, to just ass off once again, it doesn't just it hurts the business. It hurts the other guys. It hurts the company. Whatever the fuck. But that was apparently not an issue at the time.
We've all talked about how Vince McMahon allowed Shawn Michaels to really be unprofessional time and time again. But the real amazing thing is the length of period of time he was allowed to be unprofessional. Starting in the early to mid 90s, and that was, I think, in 2005, that match. So that's a good 10-year run of just doing whatever you wanted, having no fear of being fired for reasons no one understands.
Just leaving skid marks on the owner's desk. I mean, just a variety, a plethora, a cornucopia of just being shitty. Gosh. You know, that's Hall of Fame worthy right there when you think about it.
It may be so. And of course, if you don't know, you're listening to Jim Cornette's Drive-Thru.
So that was Jim Cornette talking about the Shawn Michaels match with Hulk Hogan. He had a point. He said Shawn Michaels, as stated here by Patty 905, yeah, he had no business. He had to go business for himself, because the way Hogan would not put him over. And now Cornette, who we know it does not like Shawn Michaels, he even agreed and said Shawn Michaels had to do what he had to do. But he also stated too that Shawn Michaels was unprofessional by the overselling and not doing it that way. So like I said, Hogan, Shawn Michaels both had an ego problem regarding this match. But I completely understand where Shawn Michaels coming from in one sense, though. But it couldn't not went down in that form. So definitely, like I said, icon versus legend match. You know, now, like I said, a guy who speaks with him completely off saying Shawn Michaels dropped every world title run. That's not true. And he was true about Shawn Michaels getting away with a lot of stuff with Vince McMahon back in the 90s, late 2005. But, you know, Shawn was a changed man at this point during the second run. He was not the same person he was once before, and he wanted to do business right. But Shawn Michaels was still going to be Shawn Michaels, just like Hulk Hogan was still going to be Hulk Hogan. So it's just a wild thing. Let's see, we got in the locker room. Lamiguous, Isom, hey brother, salute to you. Welcome to the locker room. You got a hand raise emoji. You got a question? You got a question? Go ahead and type it in the chat there. Respectfully, of course. True Speak said, welcome to the locker room, True Speak. But other than that, though, this was a clearly thing of Hulk Hogan not wanting to do the job for Shawn Michaels. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. That's all it comes down to. And the thing about it is, there is some aspect, Hulk Hogan did not want to do. He's known for not wanting to put people over. You know, he's known for doing that. Like I said, it was supposed to be 3 matches, and it became just 1. Now we see, like I said, there was so much hype in this match, and it came down to this. Now, we got to remember, too, now Hulk Hogan, like I said, he had no business in his career trying to win everything, knowing that it would not help his career by doing that. It wouldn't help at all, you know. So let's just admit that Hulk Hogan did not need this win over Shawn Michaels, especially if it was a series of matches where Shawn Michaels could at least got one win in. And as they stated for that interview, it became Hogan want to win everything, and that's the selfishness that Hulk Hogan has. It's no secret. That's just how he gets down. That's how he do his business. It's all about Hogan, and Hogan. More Hogan. That's just how he is, and it's never changed. It never changed. You know, that's just how it is with him. Never want to do the job properly. Always got to have himself properly. You know, and it was bad for business. Like I said, Jim Cornette had a point there. He had a point. I'm not saying he's wrong, but he said that. But it's just a history that Hulk Hogan has. He never wants to do the right thing. He puts certain people over. I know he said The Rock. Yeah, because he's the very few people that let beat you clean. That's very true. But it was only certain people, if you notice, that Hogan was going to put over cleanly. Hogan did not need this win for his career. Did beating Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 05 help Hogan's career, his already established career? Definitely not. Not by any means. It didn't help it. There's nobody that can tell me in the world that beating Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam 05 helped his career. It helped push him in a further light than he already was. There's no way. You can't tell me that it did. And if you're saying that, you're lying. You're lying right. Yeah, guys, like I said, history repeats itself. As I was saying before, what I was going to do, pull up something right here. And history repeats itself, meaning what I meant to say regarding this whole thing. Yeah, Hulk Hogan, he is known for not putting people over. And what do I mean by that? I mean it right here. He did the same thing a year later in 2006 to Randy Orton. Now, for those of you guys who don't know, he had a match against a young Randy Orton. I believe he was 26 at the time. He did not put Randy Orton over. And this is also another SummerSlam event, and I'm gonna just touch on a little bit. May even do a live in itself, but he did not put Randy Orton over. He defeated Randy Orton as well, and this is to this day still billed as the last WWE match that Hulk Hogan has had in his career, and he put himself over and he defeated Randy Orton in this match. So, like I said, Hulk Hogan has a history of not putting people over as he should, and it led to this. It's just how Hulk Hogan is. Well, let's see what you guys have to say. Okay, Izzy, salute to you, bro. Salute to you. A Herman named Joe said, so how does it make sense that Cornette thinks that HBK was wrong by doing what he did was okay, with CM Punk agreeing to do a promo, then going out and burying Hangman Page? They were hypocritical. Well, I don't follow Jim Cornette that much. I didn't know he said that. I'm not a big fan of Cornette, but if he did say that, according to you, remember. Now I see what you mean with the Punk thing, where Hangman Adam Page went off script. He got on CM Punk. I get that, but like I said, Cornette's not a fan of HBK. Is Jim Cornette hypocritical in some sense? Yeah, but it don't change the fact that Hogan backed out his match, and this could have definitely been a legendary match. It definitely could have been magic, but it was not, due to the politics and the selfishness of Hulk Hogan. And of course, HBK reacted by putting his own ego into it. But yeah, Hulk Hogan has a reputation not putting people over. That's why I showed Randy Orton a year later. So that's just the wild part about it. Definitely could have been handled a lot better. Definitely was unprofessional by Shawn Michaels, especially hopping over the turnbuckle like that. I mean, look how he did this. It's funny though. I got to play this again. This is funny how he did this, guys. Flying. Yeah, so that is funny how he does that, how he gets into overselling. And it's like Shawn Michaels enjoyed himself too much with overselling. Way too much. But other than that, let's do a recap here. We talked about the original plan of the SummerSlam 05 match. We talk about here where it was supposed to be billed as Icon versus Legend versus Icon. We talked about how it was originally 3 matches. We originally talked about that. Then, of course, Hogan backed out. He wants Shawn Michaels to be the heel, which he did when he super kicked him. And then later on, they had their little debate. They had a good building up to the match. Had a face-to-face promo. Then Hogan being, Shawn Michaels making fun of Hulk Hogan, mocking him. He's mocked by HBK here. Then they had the match, overselling match. That's it. Then we had interviews by Shawn Michaels himself on Inside the Ropes. Talk about how he felt about the match, how he wanted to do business, but Hogan didn't, and he know he was unprofessional in doing that. Then we have Mr. Bruce Pritchard. He spoke on the situation. He said that it was a Vince idea. He backed up what Hogan said. Vince was all for Hogan getting over, even though Hogan did not want to do a series of matches. Which he would win all of them. Shawn Michaels did not like that. That's why he did it that way. That's why Hogan wanted to win them all. And then later we had Jim Cornette recently, and his response to Shawn Michaels did do this the right way, as far as react to Hogan, but he did it unprofessionally. So, and then those are, then of course me react to all three. So what do you guys think of this whole debacle of HBK versus Hogan, SummerSlam 05? Very, very overselling match in the history of the WWE. This is wild though, but other than that, that's all I have regarding the subject of the most oversell match in history. You guys let me know what you think of this whole endeavor of what could have happened better, what should have happened better in the original plans of the match, and what it ultimately came to at the end of the day. So I appreciate you guys all for coming out to the locker room late tonight. So definitely I will cover more stuff like this, as far as a could have dream match that never happened, also behind the match and why it went the way it did. Definitely thank you all for coming out. Soon two videos will pop up. One will be Alexa Bliss talks about being a superstar. Second video will be real reason for no Flair versus Hogan at WrestleMania. Until then, it is OUT.